Edward and Dick left the excited crowd behind. Dick was staying at an inn on the outskirts of the city, so he took Edward there. They were both hungry and thirsty after their day's adventures. As soon as they sat down, Edward told Dick his fantastic story. He told him how he had exchanged his princely robes for Tom Canty's rags, and how the palace guard had not believed that he was the true prince. "So you see," said Edward, when he had finished his long and interesting tale, "you are now dining with the King of England." Dick sat open-mouthed. "The poor lad really is mad," he thought. But he was very kind-hearted and pretended to believe his incredible story. The next day, Dick had to go into the city. He left Edward alone at the inn. Tom's father had followed them the night before and was lying in wait to recapture the boy. As soon as Dick was out of sight, Tom's father rushed into the inn. "You're coming with me," he said, as he tried to drag Edward out of the place. "I'm not going anywhere. Take your hands off the rightful King of England," said Edward. "Show some respect for your father, you little fool," he said. No amount of protesting could stop Tom's father from dragging him away. He led the king to a den of thieves in the middle of the forest. On meeting the gang of thieves, Edward said, "Bow down to the King of England." "King of England?" they said. "Oh, Kenty's got a man for a son." And they all fell about laughing. "How dare you make a fool of me?" cried Tom's father. As the days went by, the gang of thieves took the young king with them whenever they went out stealing. One day, a band of scoundrels invaded a small farmhouse and tried to steal a pig. The farmer caught them in the act, but the vagabonds managed to escape. Poor Edward was the only one left behind. The farmer and his family chased after him with sticks. "Stop! Don't touch me! I'm the King of England!" he cried as they chased him away from their house. By an incredible stroke of luck, Dick happened to be passing on his way back to the inn. He saw the boy being chased. "Leave the boy alone!" he cried. "I'll make sure he gets the punishment he deserves." Then they both disappeared as fast as they could. "It will be much safer for us in London," said Dick, so he took Edward back to the city. When they arrived, it was the day of the coronation procession, and the streets were lined with thousands of people. The royal procession passed by, and there was Tom Canty, riding the king's horse and dressed as the king. As he passed, everyone bowed down to him and cried out, "Long live Edward, King of England!" "Stop him! Stop him! I'm the true king! He's an imposter! Just a poor boy from the city!" cried Edward. But his shouts could barely be heard above the din of the roaring crowd. And anyone who did hear him thought he was mad. "If only someone would recognize me," he sighed to himself. As the wonderful pageant moved on, Edward was still determined to prove who he was. So he stepped forward and tried to touch the king's horse. A guard quickly pushed him back, shouting, "Out of the way, you urchin!" Edward fought his way through the crowds and walked on to the cathedral. "Excuse me! I'm the king! Out of the way!" After his long ride, Tom reached the cathedral, where he stepped down from his horse. Everyone stood up as Tom Canty walked down the aisle. At last, Tom reached the archbishop. He lifted the crown from a cushion and held it over Tom's trembling head. At that moment, a boy dressed in rags appeared at the cathedral door. He ran up the aisle crying and raised his hand to the archbishop. "I forbid you to set the crown of England on that head. I am the true king." The hands of the king's guards were soon upon him. "Touch him at your peril. He is the king," said Tom. "But can he prove he is the king?" said the Lord Protector. "Let him tell me where the Great Seal is. Only the true king would know its whereabouts." Edward told the Lord Protector that it was hidden behind a painting in his room. So without delay, the Lord Protector went to fetch it. The crowd waited. And a few minutes later, the Lord Protector came back, clutching the Great Seal. "Our ragged friend is indeed the King of England," he said. Then the true king put on the royal robes over his rags and was crowned king. So Edward, the rightful King of England, started his reign. Dick was made a knight and given all the gold and land he desired. As for Tom Canty, he was given his own quarters at the palace. "I'm very pleased with you," Edward told him. "Everyone at court has told me how you tried to prove that you were not the king. You are an honest and faithful friend, and thanks to you I have learned so much about life." "And me too," said Tom. From that day on, there were no truer friends anywhere than the Prince and the Pauper.